What is up, guys? Thank you again for coming back to this channel. My name is James Yehagraphy. This is my channel, Yehagraphy. Today was a really hot day. I just got done filming another wedding. And since May is a busy month, there are a couple of things that I have to make sure on my end, that kind of like a risk management thing, to make sure that I'm always consistent on every shoot that I have. So today I want to talk about the 5 things that I normally do prior to a shoot. And I'm prior meaning like a day before. I make sure that these 5 things are taken care of so that I don't find myself, oops, no power in the battery. Oops, my camera's not working. Oops, oops, oops. We don't want oops. We want to be efficient and as creative as possible during our shoots. So thank you again for coming back to this channel. My name is James Yehagraphy. This is my channel, Yehagraphy. Thank you again for your eyes and your ears. If you haven't done so, please comment, like, and subscribe. I would be honored if you would have done that. My channel is growing slowly. I think I have seen a little bit of growth in terms of viewership and also in terms of subscribers. So I really appreciate everyone that is supporting this channel, and I'm assuming that this is giving anyone who watches some value in terms of making this your career in the video field. So today I want to talk about a risk management habit that I always do prior to any shoot. And I'm not talking about like a couple of hours, I'm talking about like a day before. So this has, I want to say, I've done this for the longest time. There's definitely some trial and errors in the past that I have done to make sure that this is like a core habit before any shoot that I do, and it has served me well. Again, through trial and error. Like I've learned, I have hard lessons that I had to learn in the past, and I am making this video so that you don't have to go through the same things I did, and hopefully that this video will help. So with that being said, let's get right to it.
Low battery detected.
So the first thing that I always check is batteries. Now, before any shoot, this is like the most important thing that you will ever need if you want to power your camera. No battery, it ain't gonna work. So the day before, the first thing that I do is make sure that all my batteries are charged. Now, I don't care how big or small your shoot is, you want to have etiquette enough of power with your camera. You really don't want to be in a position where it doesn't have power, and I have done this in the past. Thankfully, I have a lot of good support, I would say good people that would help me out when the time is needed. So I have done shoots where I had forgotten my battery, and this is when I was first starting out, and thankfully I usually get to my shoots early, so I made sure that I was there early, and I found out early in advance that I didn't have batteries. And again, this is stupid up on my part, but because of that incident, every time any shoot, the day before, batteries, man, like I make sure it's charged. I have my plan A, plan B, plan C of how to, in an event that this battery is dead, I have, several plan A and Bs for batteries. So I make sure that I have enough and adequate batteries for myself to always power my camera. So again, power is probably the most important thing that you'll ever need in any shoot, because that's the only way you're gonna power your camera. So power, batteries, that's the first thing. Batteries, make sure they're charged before you go to bed the day before your shoot. The second thing that is super important is your memory card for your camera. Now, to some of you that are watching this, like, oh my god, that's the most silliest thing, why would you put out a video like this? But I am so serious that this might be the most simplest things, but the day before, just make sure that you have a memory card in your camera. Make sure that it's functional. Now, what I mean by it's functional, when you put in your memory card, depending what system that you're using, make sure that it's, when you hit record, it's recording. Make sure there's adequate enough of space depending on the type of shoot you have, whether it's wedding, corporate, commercials, blah, blah, blah. You make sure that you have enough space. Make sure that you have backed up your prior data on that memory card. So learning from my prior mistakes, I have gone on a shoot and I forgot my memory card. And again, this was during the beginnings, I guess the early stages of my career. Well, thankfully at the time I was filming with a team. So, they had backup memory cards so that they could provide me. And, grateful for that. But again, that the emotion that you feel when you pick up the camera, put the battery in, well, not even put the battery in, you pick up the camera, turn it on, it turns on, but it just says boom, no SD card, no memory card in camera, no space, whatever the description that the camera describes to you. That is a very, very gnarly feeling to have, especially when you're about to shoot the actual action motion scene, whatever that you're going to do. I think that is super, 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 one, unprofessional. Two, it could definitely leave a mark, a bad negative name for yourself if you come into a shoot and you've, one, forgot your battery, two, forgot your memory card. So day before, make sure you have your memory card, make sure it's working adequately, make sure it's recording, make sure you have enough space. If you're buying smaller memory cards, then make sure you have a case that has more than one memory card, so you have a backup of backup of backup. Make sure that even though your memory card is working, make sure you have a backup for that. I'm the type of person that will always have a plan A to Z. It's just the nature of the business. It's just the nature of the type of productions that we shoot. I could be filming alone, I could be filming with a team, but I always have plan A, B, and C. So I hope that this warning, I would say, or call to action for any of you getting started, or if you run into those issues in the past, just, I guess, build a habit of creating this habit the night before. Just one, batteries, and then your memory card. So just keep that in mind moving forward, because you really don't want to be in a very sticky situation. The next thing that I always check is the functionality of my camera. Now this includes the lenses, and the body itself. Aside from putting in the memory card and making sure that the memory card is working, I'm making sure the focus is working, the autofocus is working, the stabilizer, if there's a stabilizer on the lens, if that's working. I also even do functionalities of the cameras, the buttons, the touch screen. I make sure everything is working the way I want it to work while I'm shooting. Again, depending on the type of shoot, whether it's a wedding, especially for weddings actually, because there's so many situations where you cannot recreate, just because you have to be fluid within the moment, be like water, like what Bruce Lee says, right?
You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
There's so many moments where you really can't miss. You just have to be on point and get the situation when it happens. So making sure that my camera is adequately functioning the way I want it to. That way I can be as creative as possible. I'm not troubleshooting while I'm being creative. That's one thing that I noticed, that if I'm troubleshooting while being creative, I'm not as creative. But if everything is working well, functioning the way I want it to, then my creativity will shine and I'll be happy. But main thing, the client or the couple will be happy, and I will get a good name for myself. So just keeping that in mind moving forward. So the next thing, I know you can't really see it. I'm probably going to maybe too big for this shot. I'm just gonna back up a little bit. Boop. All right. So the next thing that I make sure is that all my stabilizers are working. Stabilizers, I'm not just talking about the gimbal. I am talking about your tripods, your monopods, your things that would make your camera stable. Those are the things that I'm talking about. So making sure that, if you're having a gimbal, make sure it's balanced right the night before, making sure that all the electronics, the battery is charged, making sure that it's functional, making sure your tripods are, in the settings that you want it to be, make sure that it's locked, make sure that the legs are going up and going down, make sure the tilt is working, make sure the pan is working. So I'm just gonna put this guy back down here. Yeah, just making sure those things work. I mean, it's, again, like, some of you may watch this and be like, oh my God, wait, hold on. All right, some of you watching will be like, oh my God, that is such the most simplest thing that why even making this video? Like, who would be stupid enough to do it? Well, I'm gonna tell you for a fact. Now, if you don't plan ahead and you're rushing, that's when things go out of play. And I'm guilty of that. Like, again, this is when I'm first starting out. I've made mistakes in the past. I've learned from it. Thank God it wasn't a mistake where it was like, killing the career kind of mistakes. But it's to the point where I learned and I got better and I developed habits that, basically I kept over the years. And because of that, I have managed to be consistent in the quality of work and in the type of work that I provide my clients or customers and whoever I do videos for. But I've listened to so many stories in the past, even, during the course of my career when I was training the new recruits at Propeller. I've heard so many horror stories, and I think that's the reason why I'm actually making this video. And, tripod settings are like, why even talk about it? But I am going to talk about it because it does matter, especially when the moment of time when you're like setting up a scene, setting up a particular shot that you want to do, and you want to use a tripod, you want to use a monopod, and you don't want to find out at that moment that it's not working. Like, when you pick up the tripod, when you pick up the monopod, gimbal, or whatever you're using to stabilize your camera, you want to make sure that it's adequately working to the point where you can just be creative by yourself. You don't have to worry about troubleshooting. And I think that speaks volumes, and that also speaks to the professionalism that you bring to your client, that you bring to your shoot, and that will show. The last thing you want to do is like fumble and like, oh my God, why is it not working? And the people around you get, what's going on? He's supposed to be shooting, but he's not shooting. What's going on? Then doubts and fears and what ifs pops in people's head, and that's when people get, insecure, uncomfortable. And you don't want that to happen during a shoot, especially when you are in charge of the shoot. It makes people feel uncomfortable. It makes people feel insecure. It makes your client feel insecure and doubt their, investment to hire you to create and produce this video for them. So just keep that in mind, moving forward. The last thing that I make sure that is always working is audio.
Check, mic check.
Especially when you're doing weddings, you're doing corporate work, for interviews, making sure that you have your audio equipment is working. Like, again, same thing goes back to all the other 4 points. If you're not checking your audio, the functionality that it's supposed to do, making sure that when you hit record, it's recording, and making sure you just check the recording and see that it's actually working. I have like backups of backups. Like I have, my good old DJ that I'm actually wearing right now. I have my test cams. I have recently I bought the HoloLens pin mic, which is actually really good. I highly recommend this. Again, I'm not getting paid by any of these companies, but these are the trusted, brands that I use for my shoots. And just because I know it's reliable, it's functional, it does the job that I require it to do. So yeah, that's one thing, that I always want to make sure, because of the type of work I do, weddings, corporate videos, brand commercials, those oftentimes have the audio element to it. So making sure that your audio is working adequately and to the point where you don't have to worry about it, and you can, make changes in post-production and be creative with the audio file that you have acquired from those devices. So it's definitely something that a lot of people take that for granted, especially if I've seen it where they have like like these days these days microphones are so tiny, like, and it's not, you have to charge it, and they forget to charge it, and that becomes a pain in the ass when you go on a shoot, and then you figure out like, oh crap, I forgot to charge my audio equipment, my lapel mics, right? Like, again, having a backup of backup, that's why I always have like a Tascam. This is like battery powered by a AAA battery, and I always carry like a ton of AAA batteries in my bags all the time, in an event that I may forget to charge the day before. But again, I thankfully build a habit where I don't do that. Like, everything is like charged and ready to go the day before, and when I wake up in the morning, brush my teeth, get ready to, or take a shower. Well, you should brush your teeth, take a shower before you go on a shoot. That's another video for another day. But yeah, I'm ready to get out the door and get to work, be creative, do what I do what I love, do what I'm an expert in, because people rely on me, people pay for my worth. So I want to make sure that I give my all when I'm at a shoot, whether I'm filming a brand commercial, weddings, or even a corporate video for that matter. So professionalism, man, I think that's super important. Hopefully this video brings value. Again, this is the most simplest things, battery, your memory cards, your camera functionality, lenses, your tripod, your gimbals, your audio equipment. I mean, these are very simple things, but trust me, people do take it for granted. I've seen it so many times, and I'm not trying to name, and I'll never name people for what they did, but oftentimes when I say, so did you charge the night before? Did you check it the night before? Did you check it? Did you check it? And the answer is always no. So then my question would be, why? Why didn't you check it? Why didn't you give yourself enough time to check it? So yeah, it's that level of professionalism and building a habit. It takes 2 weeks to develop a habit, and I strongly suggest to anyone that wants to start in this field is that you build that habit. And I think this 5 things is like critical. Like, you have these 5 things as your core. Like, get these 5 things ready the night before, the day before. That way you will go on your shoot feeling confident, ready to give your all. So obviously there's like, I'm speaking of this as a one-person shoot. When you're working as a team, then it's a different story. There's a different parallel, there's a different I guess other risks that you have to sort, but that's probably a video for a different day. Working as a team, and I think that's important too. But this video is solely about, if you're on a one-person shoot, it's just you. These are the 5 things that you probably want to do the day before. And yeah, I really hope that this video brings some value to you. Yeah, please comment, like, and subscribe, or even comment to maybe share some of your horror stories when what mistakes that you did. The more perspective we have, the better we grow, the better we become better as a creator. So hopefully this video has brought some insights, brought some value to anyone that's watching. And yeah, please comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see all of you in the next one. Thank you.